Oi, pessoal! No episódio de hoje vocês vão conhecer um pouquinho mais da Amanda, minha aluna de português. E ela fala sobre o trabalho dela, o que ela faz da vida, como é que é o dia a dia, o que ela sente, né? Esse amor todo pelo trabalho que eu não vou dar spoilers. E, claro, falando nisso e fazendo aquele link maravilhoso que vocês adoram, se você quiser estudar mais sobre Business English, tem uma plataforma muito boa que vocês vão encontrar aí colocando no google.com, que é o Cambly. Então vai lá no aplicativo do Cambly ou no Google e escreve cambly.com. Você vai achar a melhor plataforma de inglês online. Então você que está focado em Business English ou quer melhorar o vocabulário, quer falar, quer fazer qualquer coisa da vida em inglês, vá lá no cambly.com ou no aplicativo do Cambly, coloca seu e-mail, se inscreva, não tem pegadinha, não precisa colocar cartão de crédito. E o melhor, quer testar? Nós temos cupom para você. O cupom é Inglês no Cru Podcast. Quando você se inscrever e depois colocar seu e-mail, lá no menu, em Referral Code, você vai conseguir colocar esse cupom maravilhoso, tá bom? Então é isso, está dado meu recado. Now on with the show!
But you did mention one thing, that you are really interested in the engineering of a city. So can you tell us, what do you do for work? Because you have a very interesting and unique job.
Yeah, so I'm a civil engineer, and so my area of practice is water engineering. So to kind of a lay person, what that means is, in your house, when you turn on your tap, you're able, like, fresh water comes out, and when you flush the toilet, your waste goes away, and when
Just
it rains,
disappears,
yeah, it just disappears. and then when it rains, your house doesn't flood, hopefully. And so it's kind of those combination of things that when you look at water, water is a cycle. They call it the hydrologic cycle. And so what I do as an engineer is engineer water facilities in a way that the public uses. And so that includes water treatment, wastewater treatment, drainage design, flood control, and kind of all aspects of that. So I do a lot of planning work around that in LA. So when I travel, I like to see how other countries solve the same problems, because everybody needs to drink water. Everybody needs to go to the bathroom. Every country has rain. And so we all have the same problems, but we have different solutions to it. And so when I travel, I like to ask, where does the water come from? Like, where does your waste go? And what do you do when it rains? And so it can kind of tell you about a culture and how water affects different lives. Yeah, and how it affects everything.
Yeah. Literally right before we started recording, we just released a new episode of Karaoke Connection about the floods in Rio. I don't know if you've seen that on the news or anything.
No.
So the last few days, Rio just got devastated by like a one-day torrential rain, but the city is just like in ruins right now. And I was thinking, I wonder what Amanda would think about this, like from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to take a look at the article after this, but flooding is a real risk to people and a real risk to communities. And you can tell, you could tell where the low income communities are a lot of the time, because they're the ones that have, the poorest infrastructure, and they're the ones that are getting hit with disasters and that aren't adapted to be able to handle, certain natural disaster situations. And so, obviously, like, Rio is a different case and, economic case, but
yeah,
I think that it, even the best designed cities have the same problems too. And so different people handle it differently.
Yeah. If you could only say one thing to someone who knows almost nothing about water, where it comes from, what we do with it, what is like one interesting fact or piece of advice that you would recommend people start thinking about in regards to water?
I think it's, if there's anything that you could do, it would be to ask yourself, like, where does my water come from? Because every city has a different source or different combination of sources. And most people can't answer that question. And I remember asking Alexia that when she was in Rio, and she had no idea. And water is something everybody needs, and it has different sources and different origins. So if you pay a water bill, you can a lot of the time go to the website of whatever agency or company that provides the water and
right.
take a look, and figure out, is it a combination of recycled water? Does it come from the ground? Does it come from hundreds of miles away? So in Los Angeles, for example, a majority of the water, 50 to 90% of the water, depending on the year, comes from Northern California or the Colorado River. And so it comes from like hundreds of miles away.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and you wouldn't expect that. But for a city like Los Angeles to exist, it needs to import a lot of water. And yeah, so I think that just educating yourself about where your water comes from is a really good thing that everybody should do, because everybody should know those things. And kind of the same with all of your different utilities. Where does your electricity come from? Is it generated by renewable resources, or is it generated by things that are non-renewable and are contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change? And I think that it'll help to kind of spark your interest in terms of what's really your impact on the earth. Another aspect of water that's also kind of interesting to think about is it's not just the water that you consume day to day. When you eat an apple, it takes water to grow the apple, and when you eat meat, it takes a lot of water. Like the meat industry is hugely water intensive, and it has a lot of environmental impacts. And so just kind of understanding that consuming food and consuming different products is more than just what goes into the product. There's other things that get used in the process.
Yeah. I mean, it's mind-blowing to think about how, just personally, how lazy I am to think about like one of the most essential elements to my life and all life on earth. We just don't even think about it. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and most people don't think about it. And I think that you see situations like Flint on the news and you think, my water's Michigan, not safe.
For Brazilians that don't know.
Yeah, Flint, Michigan. So I think it's been about I want to say it was like 5 years to the month. I read an article about it yesterday that it was, I think, the anniversary of when everything had happened. And so people are kind of fooled to believe that their tap water is unsafe. And obviously in some situations it isn't safe. But in the United States, we treat clean, safe drinking water as a human right. So your tap water should be safe to drink. And so like in Los Angeles, I drink the tap water here without filtering it. Most of the time when you do the little kind of Brita filters or whatever, it doesn't really remove, if there were harmful chemicals and contaminants in the water, like a little Brita filter wouldn't remove it. It's really used to just improve the taste of the water. But when I was in Brazil, one of the things that I remember is, that people said, don't drink the water there. And there was one day where I was like really, really thirsty and I didn't have any water at my friend's apartment. So I tried to drink it and it didn't taste very good. But so each country is different, obviously. And I've been to a lot of countries where, drinking the tap water wasn't safe. But in the United States, broadly speaking, it is. And there's certain areas where access to clean, safe water is limited. Even in California, there's over 1 million people who don't have access to clean drinking water in their tap, which is surprising. But in the major metropolitan areas, most of the tourist destinations that you would be visiting, tap water is 100% safe.
Yeah. So, Amanda, I could talk to you about water all day, but I want to be mindful of your time. So, I want to ask you one more thing, that you had a very interesting experience in Brazil with the fact that you really got to see and participate in office culture in Brazil. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of Inglês no Cru Rádio. If you like what we do, if you want to support the show, here's what you can do. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Android, wherever you listen to the podcast. It really helps other people discover the show. And you can sign up for our VIP newsletter. So each time we release new courses, early discounts for Sound School, new worksheets, special discounts, the people on our newsletter are the first to know. So if you are interested in the things we are doing, go to inglesnocru.com and sign up. And as always, keep up the good fight and lose well. Até já.